I've been having some issues with my employee benefit health. Oh, no, I'll cover that with later. Okay.
We'll work on that together. Good afternoon. I think I'm keeping you from happy hour, happening soon outside. So what a tremendous lineup of speakers we've had today. And I think it even gets better tomorrow. Adrian Cockcroft will speak at 3:10 tomorrow on the schedule, along with my very interesting friend Boris Rensky. And Adrian is someone I've been following for a long time online, and he has helped shape our AT&T Cloud vision, him along with a lot of industry heavyweights. So we are very proud to be part of the OpenStack community and are excited to see the rapid and continuing growth of that community. In the Austin Summit, you may recall Saurabh Saxena, AT&T's Senior VP for Software Development and Engineering, gave a keynote speech. I'm going to extend that keynote speech on AT&T's transformation and bring you a few updates today. All right, so the agenda. First, I'll share some key learnings from our cloud journey. Second, I will touch on AT&T's open source transformation. I found Martin Casado's talk this morning to be very interesting and also complementary to our views. Finally, I will extend the discussion to our OpenStack initiatives and our community involvement and our collaborative plans, and that's really the meat. So let's get started. Our cloud journey began back in 2011 when we deployed Diablo. How many people deployed Diablo? Okay, it hurt. Suffice to say, we have learned a whole lot with everyone else since then. Well, I'm not going to go back to 2011. I am going to point out some key learnings that we ran into. For example, we were strong contributors to OpenStack in 2012 and 2013. However, applying it to our business was a problem. That was not an OpenStack problem. That was an AT&T problem. We were actually too agile. We were living by the Agile Manifesto alone. Something this complex required some light structure around that agile. It needed to be packaged in a release. I will also tell you that I think OpenStack could improve in this area as well. And it's something that we'll talk about later. Fast forward to 2014, and we delivered an integrated cloud platform that showed great promise for supporting our IT applications. This is the point in time where we were shocked, surprised, happy that our platform was also selected to be the base foundation of our network going forward. The economic gravity of hyperactive data traffic necessitates that we must transform our approach to building networks. The rapid advancements in data services have resulted in numerous benefits for all of us and has spawned many new industries. All of this hyperactivity in turn has created explosive growth in network traffic. To give an example, data traffic grew 150,000% from 2007 to 2015. We expect that trend to continue and go up by 10x by 2020. Most of this hyperactive growth can be attributed to video and multiple connected devices, but I'll add one more factor, and that factor is Internet of Things. While IoT typically has short burst transactions, the projected quantity and reliability requirements for IoT is a key factor in our software-defined networking plans. So how do we support this growth? To solve for this growth, we needed a platform that could massively scale to meet business and network demands. Our cloud, AT&T Integrated Cloud, or AIC, is many things, but simply put, it is a common cloud platform based on OpenStack. We set a guiding principle that we would remain close to trunk as possible. Remaining close to trunk has also influenced the choices we make in who we collaborate with, and it also helps keep AIC from becoming one of those Franken clouds that I have heard coined, I think, by Alex Friedland. With pure play in mind, we did find, and still do find, that there are many gaps we have to fill. AIC is globally distributed with light, centralized OpenStack resource management, enabled by homegrown, so we had to build this, and collaboratively develop deployment automation capabilities. We had collaborative partners that worked with us on this as well. We have developed flavor series. Flavor series are similar to Amazon instance types. This is not something we've seen in OpenStack, but we have developed this ourselves to fill in the gaps. And it supports various grades of performance. In order to maximize resiliency, we have also implemented high-speed interconnections between all our zones. And this was one thing Adrian recommended last year in this conference, is that people with private clouds complain because they don't have a fast connection. Well, if you add the fast connection, you're equal to anyone else. So it was a simple point, but one that we took to heart. We also took a homogeneous approach with our distributed platform. The goal is to share any workload anywhere. Finally, as this is a major industry-leading transformation in the network service provider segment, we have made it a priority to foster disruptive, open technologies and maintain a healthy supplier ecosystem in that area. Over the past 2 years, our progress has been as follows. In 2014, we established our platform. In 2015, we established automated deployment. Many of you know or that we delivered 74 total cloud zones last year. What many don't know is that 54 of those were done in 2 months. They were done in 2 months because we got the automation done up front. And the original 20, I think they took like 8 months. So quite a difference. Today we are enhancing our globally distributed cloud with new features and capabilities to specifically focus on application and virtual network functions. As I mentioned, the AIC flavor series, fault tolerance, normalization, resiliency, all of these things come into play with what we're putting into the platform today. Okay, so there's our this is just a self-explanatory slide. It's pretty easy. We've now deployed greater than 74 zones. We're going to hold that number for the press for a little bit. We're in 10 countries, and we have over 1,400 tenants on our platform. Now let's talk about open source. This can be a little bit controversial, but I think Martine helped me out this morning. So it's all about the power of the community and what we can do together, not alone. Open source sounds very straightforward. We found it's not. We have defined 3 key characteristics for open source software that we consider to be paramount. The first is no license cost. Pretty clear, it's free software. That does not mean it's free because you have to support it, you have to extend it. Okay, so support, professional services, whatever it takes to get the job done, whether you do it in-house, out-of-house. So there's where the cost should come in, not paying a license cost or a right-to-use fee. Number 2, a vibrant open foundation community. This goes straight back to the power of the community, and it is led under the construct of an open foundation, not a vendor. Source code is accessible. We found a situation recently where we couldn't get to the source code and we couldn't do CI/CD. So you can download it. It's available and allows the community members to extend the source code and contribute back to the community. So considering these key characteristics, at a high level, AT&T sees open source technology in 2 models, pure and commercial. With pure, it meets those 3 characteristics that we just talked about. With commercial, it typically requires an enterprise proprietary edition or extensions that require software right-to-use fees or license costs. Source code may or may not be proprietary. And the proprietary nature of the enterprise edition and the vendor's position in control leads to less public documentation, such as transparency to bugs and testing results. In addition, if source code is provided, it typically does not include the test frameworks that allows us to validate production readiness that should be part of the open source deliverable. These factors made it very clear to AT&T that the pure open source model was preferred. All right, now I'm going to have a little more fun with the rest of the show. So, OpenStack and AT&T, our future. This is where we're going to start to talk, what we're going to start to talk about now. So I did a little research because there's a song I know in my head. I'm actually not old enough to have really been a fan of the Beatles, so that probably means no one else is either. Oh, there's one hand. I got one hand out there. So the Beatles had it right in their last song, on their last recorded, not their last released album, but their last recorded album. So get the facts straight. The song was co-written by Lennon and McCartney and included the only known 3 separate guitar riffs in a single song by George, Paul, and John, which I think was on purpose. The name of the song is The End from the Abbey Road album, and here's the lyric you've all been waiting for that sets up the rest of this. The love you take is equal to the love you make. All right. Our OpenStack engagement is focused on the following 3 areas. Our core development initiatives are focused on the specific requirements for our business, and many of these plug gaps in the OpenStack community, and we plan to contribute them. We also have a second area of focus, which is community contribution. Our focus on contributing back to the community has never been stronger. We came out in Tokyo and said that we were going to begin to contribute, and we were going to contribute at an exponential rate. Check out Scalability. We're living up to that promise, and we're going to take it farther. Large operator collaboration would be the third leg of the stool. And in this case, as I've shared, we're making great progress at AT&T with OpenStack. However, we can't do it alone. The velocity that we really need requires collaboration and joint development with other like-minded, participating companies, large operators specifically. So let's look at our focus areas. Automated lifecycle management, monitoring, capacity management, operational support capabilities, seamless upgrades. These are all table stakes for us. We can't do business without these things. I loved the Walmart presentation with 1,000 auto healing situations. Beautiful. It's how it's supposed to work going forward. Software-defined networking, simply put, OpenStack Neutron has not been built to support layer 3 software-defined networking on its own, especially when it comes to MPLS. And carrier-grade performance, this is where the flavor series has been introduced. Again, that was a term coined by Toby Ford, our representative to the OpenStack Foundation. And what it really means is it's a full stack. It includes the storage and the network as well. And it is for specific uses and purposes, just like an Amazon instance type. I think Google says machine types, and I think Azure comes up with some letters that confuse me. We also need to harden the integrated core, tightly integrating our OpenStack projects and implementation dependencies that are production ready out of the box. Let me back up one. I skipped one. So we need to enforce AIC backwards compatibility. It's not that this doesn't exist, we just can't completely trust it at this point in time. All APIs must be versioned. Micro-versioning is desirable, as well as backwards compatibility to ensure the old API call works for the duration of a defined deprecation cycle. Now jumping to tenant transparent upgrades, AWS has mastered this. We have not. And when I say we, I say OpenStack. Top to bottom security, operational fundamentals. This means efficient site deployment, standardized logging, mature telemetry. We know we don't have that. Ceilometers are 2 out of 8. we've got to figure out if we're going to continue down that path or we're going to do something different, because every player out here is monitoring in different ways. Top to bottom security, enterprise security best practices with cohesive security policies, which includes secret management for passwords, encryption, keys, certificates, and granular role-based access controls. Beyond these core development initiatives, we would like to help deliver accelerated maturity of the OpenStack solution in a few key areas that I will jump into next. Looking at OpenStack today, we see the following. Limited scalability. Now, I understand with Mitaka, the scalability increases greatly. However, due to the difficulty of upgrading our zones in place with tenants running on them, we've pushed Mitaka out to 2017 because we have mission-critical business to do. And this is where the upgrade part has to come into play again. Bottoms up over top down. I love bottoms up. Bottoms up is great, but sometimes there's got to be a little top down. It's kind of like the Agile discussion we had, I mentioned in the very beginning. So we have seen this a lot in OpenStack, where it's a culture of decentralization, and the direction of the platform is generally pushed by the individual projects. We believe there's some integration that needs to take place here. And project gaps. We've talked about a lot of that already. Additionally, we've seen technical biases in network paradigms. For example, Neutron using Open vSwitch, OpenFlow, and Neutron APIs that are built more for a data center as opposed to a layer 3 MPLS network. We have also seen biases with Python as the language for OpenStack, primary language for OpenStack. This may not be compatible with the container technologies that we are looking to integrate, and that's a big deal. So we would propose emulating a hub and spoke model. That hub and spoke model would include a unified roadmap leader. This is something I've talked to Jonathan about, and several others, Mark Shuttleworth and several others, that we would have a unified roadmap leader. This does not mean this is the king, this is the dictator, anything like that. But it does mean that there's some coordination and there's some integration, okay? There are also various half-baked projects for container support, and the strategy needs clarity and resolution, because containers are an imperative going forward. There needs to be more collaboration, integration, and testing across projects. And the core tent finally must be rock solid. It must be rock solid. It must be on a par with the best proprietary clouds in the world, if this technology is going to fly long term, and I do believe it is. Okay, look, we don't expect perfection. We do need to collaboratively and continually improve OpenStack to become the de facto standard for private clouds. We want to be part of that solution with you and the OpenStack Foundation, for which we are extremely grateful for. Extremely grateful for this. So I want to measure my, hey, I need OpenStack to do this, with how grateful we are to be part of the community and what the community has already helped us with. And that's all of you who actively participate. So I'm very proud to say that we have established an AT&T dedicated OpenStack community team. And as I mentioned before, you can validate that progress on Scalability. All right. Now, there was another key to why we did this. It wasn't just to be good friends. There's a significant amount of custom work required to implement OpenStack at large scale. Early on, this is where we found ourselves. With each successive AIC release, we grew further away from trunk. So we said, as a company, this is going to cost us a lot of money long term if we continue down this path. So we've built the community team to work in the design sessions, and we started at the very bottom. We've started with the easiest things to do, just certifying something, looking at somebody else's code, those types of things that was on the previous slide. But we will move very quickly into, being actual coders, working with the PTLs even closer, and we greatly look forward to that. So, how many people have heard of Hidden Mickeys? Wow. You guys need to get out more. That's not many hands. Okay. Hidden Mickeys are placed all over the Disney properties, and many Disney fans enjoy searching for them. Okay? With that lead in, here's my Hidden Mickey slide. See if you can see the Hidden Mickey. Oh, I have to hit it first. All right. Got it? Okay. All right. Very good. So this is the wrap up. I wanted to end our conversation here today with collaboration. I have a short story. Do I have a few? No, I can't do it. No short stories.
Everyone will be happy to talk to you.
Go to happy hour. I'll tell you this short story at happy hour on collaboration, okay? But the moral is, community collaboration brings better solutions at a faster rate, not to mention weeding out misconceptions along the way due to others' experience or knowledge. Last night, I sat down with some like-minded large operators to discuss how we can collaborate, jointly contribute, jointly invest, and ensure that OpenStack becomes the de facto standard for private clouds. It was a real pleasure to be here today. Thank you very much.